Ever get that feeling like you meet someone and their work is all over the place? You can't quite pin them down.
Oh, absolutely. You mean like they've got their fingers in so many pies you don't know where they find the time?
Exactly. And that's Henk Conn, to a T filmmaker. One-time political candidate, even have a background in social work. Would you believe it?
Now that's a combo you don't see every day. Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us with this deep dive.
You can say that again. We're really trying to get to the bottom of this. Is there some kind of common thread that ties all of these seemingly random pursuits together?
The million-dollar question. What makes this guy tick?
Yeah.
Thankfully, you've dug up a ton of interesting sources we can pull from.
Right. So we've got Khan's bio, which is always a good starting point. And then there's his IMDb page, which, let's be honest, is basically a map of someone's creative output.
And then you threw in this wild card, a description of a video. And get this about the kinetic sculpture race.
The what now? Okay, you're going to have to break that one down for me.
Picture this. Human-powered sculptures, right? But we're not talking popsicle stick art here. These things are creatively engineered to race over land, through water, mud, you name it. Utter mayhem.
Sounds intense.
Intense is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
And somehow, our man Henk Conn is right there in the thick of it, capturing it all on film.
Okay, now my curiosity is officially piqued. But hold on, we've got even more to cover, right? You mentioned a campaign bio from his Senate run back in 22.
Can't forget that. Plus, we've got a synopsis of this roller derby film he made. Seems right up your alley. And then some info on a video about the Occupy LA movement.
It's a lot to unpack, that's for sure. But for those listening who are all about those light bulb moments, those aha connections, this is pure gold. Where do we even begin to untangle this web?
Well, they say first impressions can be deceiving, right?
Yeah.
So let's start by just laying it all out there. On the one hand, we've got the high-octane world of roller derby, and on the other, the serious, buttoned-up world of a political campaign. Any initial thoughts jumping out at you, possible links we can start to draw?
I mean, it's pretty wild when you think about it, right? One person drawn to all these different worlds, but that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. So when you really dug into it, did you find anything that might connect the dots for us?
Oh, absolutely. His bio, the one he wrote himself, was super revealing. He's got this line in there, and I'm just going to quote it directly because it really jumped out at me. He says, "I believe there is only one truly good act, and that is helping others who are less fortunate than ourselves, helping without judgment or motive." Powerful stuff, right?
Yeah, no kidding. You read something like that, and it kind of reframes his whole career, doesn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
It's like you're suddenly seeing everything through this new lens, understanding his choices in a whole new light.
Totally. And it's not just empty words either. I mean, look at his background social work. That's a field where you're really putting those values into action. No armchair philosophizing there.
Exactly. You're on the front lines dealing with real people, real struggles. It takes a special kind of empathy and commitment to do that kind of work.
Okay, but how does that connect to something like, say, the roller derby film? Those seem like worlds apart to me.
Right. But here's the thing. This whole idea of helping others, it's not just some abstract concept for Conn. It's like it bleeds into every aspect of his work, even his creative endeavors. Just look at the types of films he's drawn to, the stories he chooses to tell, the Occupy LA video, the stuff he's done around poverty. He's clearly drawn to narratives about people facing challenges, the kind of folks who are often overlooked and marginalized.
You know, now that you mention it, there's definitely a pattern there. It's like he's using film as a way to give those people a voice, to shine a light on the issues they're facing.
Bingo. He's not just interested in entertaining. He wants to engage with these social issues to spark conversations and hopefully inspire some kind of action.
Okay, for those of you keeping score at home, that's a major takeaway right there. It's so easy to put people in boxes, to assume we've got them all figured out. But Conn's a perfect example of why we need to dig a little deeper. Look for the why behind the what.
Couldn't agree more. And there's another layer here I think we need to peel back, this idea of community.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see where you're going with this. Even when you look at the roller derby, the kinetic sculpture race, the Occupy footage, there's this recurring theme of people coming together, right?
Exactly. And I don't think that's a coincidence. Think about it. The roller derby film, it's not just about the athleticism. It's about the camaraderie, the support system within that subculture. Same with the kinetic sculpture race. It's all about collaboration, creative problem solving, people coming together to achieve something bigger than themselves. And then you've got the Occupy LA movement. I mean, for all of the complexities at its core, it was about collective action, right? People uniting around a shared cause.
It's like he's drawn to these stories that highlight what we can accomplish when we work together, even in the most unexpected places. You mentioned Khan's interest in using location as a character in his work. Doesn't that contradict his focus on people and communities, or are they somehow intertwined?
Wow, that's a great question. And I think it gets to the heart of what makes Kahn's work so compelling. He seems to understand that people don't exist in a vacuum. We're all shaped by our environments, by our histories, by the communities we belong to.
So it's not an either-or situation, it's both. He's interested in the way people interact with each other and the world around them. It's all one big, messy tapestry. It's funny how we keep coming back to this idea of Khan as someone who just defies categorization. I mean, on the one hand, you've got this deep dive into serious social issues, and then on the other, these vibrant, almost celebratory glimpses into these unique subcultures. What do you make of that contrast?
Well, I think for Kahn, those two things aren't actually as different as they might appear. Remember, he's not just a passive observer. He's not just pointing a camera and walking away.
Right, it's more like he's embedding himself in these worlds, trying to understand them from the inside out.
Exactly. And I think that's where his background in social work really comes into play. He's not afraid to get his hands dirty, to really engage with the messy realities of the situations he's documenting.
Which brings us back to that whole idea of him being a connector, right?
Ah,
Connecting with people, with communities, with seemingly disparate ideas.
absolutely. And it's that ability to bridge those divides that I find so fascinating. He's not just showing us these different facets of the world. He's inviting us to consider how they intersect, how they inform each other.
It's a good reminder that the world is rarely black and white. And I think people like Khan encourage us to embrace that, to be open to new perspectives, to
Mhm.
challenge our assumptions, to, maybe find those unexpected connections we might have otherwise missed.
And at the end of the day, I think that's what makes his work so compelling. It's not just about the stories he tells, but the questions he raises along the way. He's not trying to give us all the answers. He's inviting us on a journey of discovery, which is pretty cool when you think about it.
Which, let's be honest, is what the deep dive is all about, right? Taking our listeners on these deep dives into the lives and work of fascinating individuals.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So, as we wrap up our exploration of Henk Conn, the filmmaker, the activist, the advocate for social change, I'm left with this thought. In a world that often feels increasingly fragmented, how can we all be a little bit more like Henk Conn? How can we find those common threads, bridge those divides, embrace the messy, beautiful complexity of the human experience? Those are questions worth pondering, my friend.
Absolutely. Questions we should all be asking ourselves. And on that note, we'll leave you to do just that. This has been a truly incredible deep dive into the world of Henk Conn, a testament to the power of following your passions and using your voice, whatever form that may take. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and as always, keep diving deep.